Good evening. Um, Briefly for this video, I want to speak about the current Arsenal manager, Mikel Arteta. My thoughts on him, and um, he's been in charge of Arsenal since January of this year, I believe. Pretty much, he was the manager at the halfway point of last season, because the Premier League season started on Saturday, and so clearly Mikel Arteta has made some improvements. There's some perspectives that he had as a player for Arsenal and Everton that he's clearly taken into management with him. He took that into his role at Man City as the number 2 man behind Pep Guardiola, who I assume is his biggest influence in becoming a manager. I mean, you can't get better than that. Pep Guardiola, arguably the current best manager in the world. Someone say Klopp. That's neither here or there. The point is, I'm sure Arsenal fans will have good reasons to be optimistic about Arteta. He seems to bring a philosophy with him in terms of how he wants the players to play, in terms of his formation, the ideas that he has in terms of making adjustments to different types of opposition, and it's not been easy for him at all. And listen, Arsenal finished 8th, which is their worst league table finish in over 20 years, I believe. So that can't be good. I certainly being an Arsenal fan myself, I honestly have had my doubts about him because he was inexperienced as a head coach. He's never had any head coach responsibility. He was a assistant manager. That was it. At Man City. That's all he was. The guy who was picking up cones on a training pitch, as a lot of rival fans who will say, being who they are. And so I still have my doubts in some regard, even though Arteta has won a trophy. He beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final. Lampard. So that's certainly a positive in what's been overall a disappointing season for Arsenal. But nevertheless, I still have my doubts. Whether he is the man to put Arsenal back on top of the glory mountain of winning trophies, major honours, whether he's that guy that could potentially lead Arsenal to their first Champions League title down the line, years to come. That's if they get top 4 first, which I doubt this season. But from what we've been hearing, he's potentially managed to convince our striker, one of the best strikers in the league, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, to stay. I think probably the best scenario that has showed his good man management is with Granit Xhaka, who, as we know, had a major bust up with the fans not too long ago, back in October, I believe, or November, one of those months. And he was certainly set on leaving, but clearly Mikel Arteta has convinced him to stay. And Xhaka was instrumental in our FA Cup triumph. So I think that yet again puts Arteta in a good light as a manager, as a potential future great manager, legendary. And so there are certain games where he's been able to adjust in terms of learning his mistakes that he made in the previous encounter with certain teams like Man City or like a Chelsea, and just adjust, knowing how to attack and defend against a certain team. And there was a period in time where, because as Arsenal we have terrible defenders, but there has been a period in time where, despite how terrible defenders like David Luiz and Mustafi have been, and Kolasinac, we were keeping clean sheets. I think this season Arsenal kept 10 league clean sheets, which is not great, but it's not bad either. And so therefore I think he deserves some credit and some praise for what he's done in terms of making slight improvements, not full, because obviously, Arsenal finished 8th. Even though he wasn't the manager at the beginning of last season, future last season, that is going to be what people are going to mainly focus on, which is understandable. And also the fact that Arsenal got knocked out of the Europa League by Olympiacos under him as well. And then obviously, the whole COVID pandemic struck, and he was affected with. He was diagnosed with coronavirus. He tested positive, and so thankfully he survived, became better, and I say it again, we won a trophy. Mikel Arteta won his first trophy as a manager, the FA Cup, and now the Community Shield as well. Beat Liverpool on penalties, but that's not really, that trophy doesn't mean anything. But yeah, he won the FA Cup against Chelsea, beating Man City in the semi-final when we were seen as the weakest team out of the 4 teams, out of Liverpool, out of Man City, Chelsea, Man United, and us. Arsenal seen as the least favourites, but we against all odds, we beat Man City and Chelsea. And so I'm still in a bit of a mixed mind about Arteta, about what he's got planned for Arsenal, if he can improve Arsenal as a team from this past season recently. And so I'm just still in a bit of a mixed mind about him, but I am curious to see how things will play out this coming season, starting on Saturday. And obviously I hope he does well. And he signed Willian from Chelsea. He's also signed a Brazilian defender from Lille, Gabriel. And so I think he's trying to get in a couple more signings as well, a midfielder. from Atletico Madrid, Thomas Partey, which I doubt will happen, and also another midfielder from Lyon. I don't know to say his name, but I think he's French, and he plays for Lyon. I don't know, he's trying to get that player as well, which I doubt will happen as well, to be quite honest. So it remains to be seen. I really do. I'm curious to see how things will play out. Can he be a future legend as a manager, more than he was as a player? Potentially so. And we're going to see what happens with him. See what happens, how this season for Arsenal plays out, and whether Arteta can show that he can improve the club. We'll see. And clearly, he has a good relationship with the players. Clearly, he's given the Arsenal players confidence to play out of their skin. And we saw that in the FA Cup semi-final against Man City and Chelsea. So that's all I have to say. Take care. God bless.